Hey guys, I'm Rick and welcome back to Maple Syrup Tech. Today I'm launching a new capsule series on the channel where we'll do a weekly review to see what is the important news that you might have missed during the week, or sometimes what's upcoming in the week to come. So it's a new capsule. Honestly, it's not going to be long capsules. I'm going to try to keep them fairly short, between 10 to 15 minutes is where I'm aiming at. And we're going to go look at like maybe 3 or 4 of the biggest stories or biggest products coming in the, at the moment. So hopefully you guys will like this. I know a lot of other channels do this type of thing, but for anyone following me, I'm going to be doing a perspective. I'm going to be looking at the stories that are most interesting to me and that I believe it'll affect you guys the most. I'm a channel, situated so far a lot on best value for price, looking value for price. So this is what these are the stories that are going to attract my attention, is, like products that are being lowered in price, or stuff that has come up that, like a new processor. Like we're going to look at Ryzen 3 today, which is going to be probably a very good, budget processor, money to price wise. So without further ado, let's go look at this week's stories. And like I said, I'm going to try to do this on a weekly basis. It'll probably be coming out, I'm aiming between Saturday to Monday, because it's where I have the most time to, look over the week's stories, choose what I want to talk about, and sort of get a plan going. So if you guys like this, let me know, and if there's stuff I missed, you can put it in the comments below. This doesn't mean that we won't be doing, capsules where we'll be focusing more on one product and going really in depth. This is just to see an overview, like I said, and the major points on each one of the concepts. So number one, for anyone who doesn't know, this week Ryzen 3 is launching, and this is going to be the first story we're looking at, which is the Ryzen launch for Ryzen 3. The official launch is actually Thursday on July 27th. And actually on the channel, it's really important for me this launch because I'm actually getting in a new motherboard, new memory, and we're going to be getting a Ryzen 3 processor. I'm going to try to be getting it as close to Thursday as possible. If they have any at the local stores where I shop at, I'm going to pick it up Thursday and Friday, and we're going to start looking at performance numbers, combinations with different graphics cards, older graphics cards, current graphics cards, try to see what kind of performance we get and how much should you be investing in a graphics card before your CPU's bottlenecking you. So stay tuned to the channel for those. But like I said, what's important is Ryzen 3 is launching on July 27th. However, AMD still hasn't discussed the official pricing on it. A lot of channels are assuming that the Ryzen 3 1200, which is the entry-level CPU, will, which has a base clock of 3.1 and a boost clock of 3.4. A lot of channels are saying this one should launch around $110 US, so I'm expecting somewhere between $130 and $150 Canadian. And the 1300X will, a lot of people are assuming $130 US, so I'm expecting, once again, somewhere between 150 to 170 Canadian. Any more than that, and I'll be a little bit disappointed in the pricing, because I really wanted to come and compete with the likes of the G4560, and for the moment, it's actually offered fairly lower than that. So if they go any higher than that, I'm really scared. Even though you're getting, in my opinion, you'll be getting better performance, you're still, playing in a dangerous area where if you want to target the entry-level market, you really can't go higher than that, because higher than that, people stop thinking of your CPU as an entry-level CPU. So, big news for Ryzen 3, and obviously as well at the end of the month, we should be seeing the Vega GPUs at SiteGraph. And we should be getting a more focused look at Ryzen Threadripper. And they're even specifying that you can pre-order the Alienware Threadripper edition starting on July 27th. So in my opinion, Threadripper's really around the corner, and if you're starting to get pre-orders, that means that Alienware probably has the motherboards. They have everything already available for that CPU to start, putting the systems together. So, it really is right around the corner. Unfortunately, I probably will not be getting a Threadripper in for the channel because it doesn't really fit with my focus, which is budget builds. But, one day, if the channel progresses, we might be going there. Second thing I wanted to talk about, it's good news for anyone who wants to build a PC with a mid-range graphics card, is that basically the mining craze has started to slow down. Me myself, I've actually cut down because I had a few systems running that I was, testing the mining grounds. I've actually reduced down to only one system now running, and I'm actually off of Ethereum because the progress was becoming too slow with the systems I had. You have to be like heavily invested to have a system that right now that will get you decent gains in Ethereum. I have one system that's still running some Zcash because I can still get some decent gains on that. But the good news with it slowing down is that you can actually now buy a mid-range graphics card, and the prices have started to stabilize. I've popped up on, I'm just using Newegg as a reference, okay? It's no way am I related to Newegg or whatnot, and I'm not saying it's always the best site to buy from, but it's generally the site where the prices will update the quickest, because they're really, the size they have means that they're really like into the market. So as soon as something hits the general graphics card or CPU market, their prices will be adjusted pretty quick. Now I've popped up both the Canadian and the American sites just so that we can see what I'm talking about. It's that RX 580s, which about a month ago would never be in stock, are now in stock in a few cases. And rather than being ridiculously priced, like at almost double the market, the regular MSRP, you're still paying a lot, because normally here in Canada, this Red Dragon, Power Color Red Dragon, 8 gigabytes should be somewhere around between $300 to $330. It's at $414, but it's this weird combo with like a life tracker. I don't really know what they're trying to plug with a life tracker and a graphics card, but point being that they're actually in stock, and that's a first step, because if they're in stock, as soon as they're not selling out, the prices will start going down. Problem is right now probably people are eating them up even at these prices because they've been out of stock for so long. So if you guys actually want the prices to go down, they have to sit on the shelves for a while. If these cards sit on the shelves, that's when the sites will really start dropping the prices, go back to MSRPs, and you will start seeing special offers from the manufacturers. Because now they've pumped up probably production to meet with all the mining demands. So if actually, sales sort of level off and they produced a lot, we might actually be getting really low priced cards in about a month to a month and a half if the market drops off. And you see here on Newegg.com, you're at $300. So the base price is about what we were paying for it in Canada before all the mining craze. And if you go to the GTX 1060, especially for the 3 gigabyte models, here in Canada, they're already down to almost regular price, $314. This should be more around like $270 probably here in Canada. And on the US side, you can get them as low as $219. And actually, if you want to future-proof yourself, yes, the 6 gigabyte model is better, but right now the 3 gigabyte models are at almost regular price. So it's actually not a bad buy. Like if you can't wait and you need to build a gaming PC like right now, going for a 3 gigabyte model is actually a pretty decent move. And the last thing I wanted to show is even on eBay, you're starting to get the backlash of the people who are getting out of the mining. Right here we have cards that are starting to be sold. So it's always like, this is the sign where you know that people are dumping their cards onto eBay, because if you look, about a month ago, if you typed RX 480 in eBay, like none of them would have been under double MSRP, so like around $600 for a RX 480. And secondly is you would have almost none left, like none on buy it now, because they would have all been liquidated by the miners. Right now it's full. Like there's an almost unending list of RX 480s available. Like we're at 4 pages just for the RX 480. So we're not looking at 470s, we're not looking at 580s. Just the 480, we're at 4 pages on ebay.ca. So ebay.com is probably even going to have more than this. So it's a good news for anyone wanting to build a mid-range to budget system that wanted to invest in one of these cards. You probably don't have much longer to wait, and people will be liquidating these cards. I would be careful though on the eBay cards, because if you pick up a card that's been been mining nonstop for like the last 5 to 6 months, it's maybe not the best pickup in the world because its lifespan is probably way shortened. But if you go in on like newegg.com and you grab a brand new GTX 1060 for $219, the 3GB model, in most games you're not going to see much of a difference, especially if you're planning on, I really want to try and get one to test it with the new Ryzen 3, because in my opinion this is the kind of card you're going to want to pair with it. Like a 470, a 1060 3GB is probably going to be exactly where you're going to want to be for the graphics cards market. So that's the second story I wanted to look at, is that the mining craze is slowing down, people are getting out, and graphics cards are finally coming back to our regular pricing. The last thing I wanted to look at for this week is actually the release of a X370 motherboard, which is the, I know it's not a budget, but there's a very specific point I want to bring up. It's the Asus ROG X370 Crosshair 6, but the Extreme Edition. So they're relaunching a really high-end X370 board. And the reason I'm coming on to this story is that this shows to you that the board partners are starting to have serious confidence in the Ryzen product. When you're starting to get high-end boards like this, it generally means that if you're going to invest the R&D, if you're going to invest the time, the effort, and the production values to put out a board of this category, like an Extreme Edition. I don't know, I didn't find the MSRP on the review. By the way, this is OC3D, so if you want, you can, I recommend you go look at their site if you want to look. It's a 20-page review, very in-depth, very well done, and the basis is that the board is probably going to be, it's near perfect in their opinion. Like, the conclusion is one paragraph, and they say it themselves. When the conclusion is one paragraph, is that we couldn't find anything bad to say about the board, and the 19 pages are before will tell you exactly why it's so good. So as I was saying, the fact that Asus is coming out with a board of this category means that they have serious confidence that the board is going to be sold, and that the platform is worth investing on the high end. Because right now, anyone going at the high-end enthusiast level, you know, you have unlimited budget. You want to buy the best of the best. Well, right now it's Intel, because the best of the best boards, the best of the best processors are Intel. Not the best price to value processors. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that price to value they're better. I'm just saying that if you have as much money as you want and you don't care about the price, well, you only had one answer right now, which was Intel. The fact that they're coming out with an extreme board like this, and don't forget that the socket will be good till 2020, meaning that if you invest in this board, there's probably going to be 1 to 2 more generations of Ryzen processors that are going to fit with the same board and the same socket. It's that they have confidence that these boards are going to be sold off of the shelves, and that the processors that are going to go in them are going to be worth what you're paying for, because you're not going to pay for extra lanes, quad GPU setups, if the processors aren't going to work with this. So the fact that this product is releasing and that it's as good as it is means that the board partners are having more and more confidence in the Ryzen product. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not an AMD fanboy. Honestly, yes, I build a Ryzen system because price performance right now, the 1700 couldn't be beaten for someone who does production and gaming. But so I'm not a fanboy. I'm not more on the Intel, I'm not more on the AMD side, but simply I'm glad that the Ryzen product has gone off, because if we didn't have competition, Intel was going to keep going like they were going with like the 3 to 5% increases per year that they were giving us, and really not shaking up the market. The fact that we have real competition and a real challenge right now to dominance means that for us, the builders and the customers, things are just going to get better and better. We're going to get better processors. We're going to get, the market's going to, the improvements to the processors and the products are going to go faster, because everyone's going to want to one-up another. So they're not just going to do a regular 3 to 5% increase per year. They're going to try to come up with something new that will slash the competition. So it's really, really good news to have this kind of backing starting for the Ryzen, platform, because the competition is going to be healthy for the market, instead of having Intel dominance and basically, the only people buying AMD is when you were strapped for cash. To be honest, because until this year, that's what it was. If you had any type of budget, you would go with Intel, and if you were strapped for cash and you were looking ultra budget, well, then you'd go look like an FX processor or something like that. So that is it for this week. So that is it for the stories for this week. I hope you guys found this informative. I hope you guys like this kind of setup. If you do, leave it in the comments, and likes are always appreciated. Subscriptions are even loved. And I'm going to try to come back every week, like I said, on the weekends with more, with a sort of review of the week like we just did. And it'll get better as we go, because I know I felt doing it that maybe it was there's a couple of points I could have maybe shortened and done better. But as we go along, don't worry guys, it's going to get a lot better. First time doing this on the channel, so this is episode 1. Like I said, hope you guys liked it. Leave it in the comments down below what could be done better, what could be, improved. And I hope I see you guys in the next video.